Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Welcome. It's June 9, 2020, a year that will live in infamy and history books, to be sure. And it's a Tuesday, and I think that means my sister Susan's on the other line. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Suze. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay. A lot of stuff to cover, as usual.
Yeah.
It's hard to know where to start. Always. I came upon a quote from, I've been coming upon a lot of quotes from James Baldwin. Haven't you? I mean, when you're reading about this, my gosh, I got to go back and read him. James Baldwin, wow, everything he wrote, mostly in the 60s, I think, is still, could be written today, which, of course, shows that we have not, as a nation, moved forward enough on racism in this country. We just haven't. We make little bits of progress here and there, even big steps of progress here and there, but the underlying condition doesn't budge.
No, letting 6 people through and the rest of things don't change doesn't really change.
No, and the majority of America still is unwilling to get it, to listen, to hear, to open their ears, their hearts, their minds. And it is, I suspect, mostly because they're defensive.
They're defensive. They're afraid. They're what's at risk to them is, as far as they can tell, their precarious perch on superiority.
Yeah. James Baldwin said, and I'm starting to feel little glimmers of hope. I saw one guy who said, "I'm pessimistically optimistic."
Right. There's a lot more. Well, we're starting from a gratefully diverse, far more white participatory place than we have in past years.
Well, I would also say that I don't think this would be happening if it weren't for the pandemic. If we weren't in
for the pandemic and Trump, all of these things.
Yeah, that's all of it added to a moment where finally we can concentrate when our whatever. I mean, I think, as I said, my gosh, 2020 in the history books. Good God. I mean, you could.
But there is something true to that, Lynn. I mean, I've heard it said more than once. I don't have a job, or I don't have to go to work. I might as well change the world.
Wouldn't it be something if 2020? I know. Get you okay? Just take care of yourself. Wouldn't it be amazing if 2020 becomes the year where Americans begin to see more clearly their history, their complicity, their reality? 2020 vision. Let's hope. But I started with James Baldwin, and here's the quote. "One discovers the light in darkness. That is what darkness is for." And it's sort of like in this time of pandemic and economic chaos and George Floyd's death and the police brutality, this darkness, we have an opportunity to discover the light. That's what darkness is for. I like it.
I know, it's sort of the exact opposite. I can't talk yet.
I know. You okay. Okay. You just
I choked real good. I choked
Okay.
real good.
Yeah, you did. Do you have water? She's okay. She's a big girl. She can take care of herself. I want, while Susan's getting herself together, there is such a wonderful piece written by General Petraeus, remember him, in the Atlantic. And it is about getting rid of the names of these Confederate generals that adorn some of our biggest military bases. Fort Bragg, for instance. Fort Benning. Benning and Bragg were Confederate generals. And as Petraeus points out, not even very good generals on top of it. They were traitors. What are they doing? Why are their names honored and emblazoned on America's leading military bases?
Because even back then in America, no one really loses.
Well, Petraeus says in part, plainly put, Robert E. Lee, Jackson, Bragg, all of them committed treason. The majority of them had worn the uniform of the U.S. Army. And the U.S. Army should not brook any celebration of those who betrayed their country.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. So while the Marines the other day banned the Confederate flag from you cannot have a Confederate flag even on a mug at your desk in any Marine facility.
You certainly can't have one draping your decorating.
It can't be on the wall. It can't be a bumper sticker. You cannot have it. Well, clearly, this kind of thing, the statues are coming down, and they need to come down. We have finally, police got to put the Confederacy where it belongs, which is in the ash heap of history, not in a place of any honor.
No, and not lied about. We, stop this. It wasn't about slavery.
No. Well, ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous.
I know. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was one of the things that actually made it into the school books.
It's just beyond belief. And enough, right?
Yeah.
There is, Susan, I know you've heard it and I've seen it, and
I've cried through it twice, and I misquoted that eloquent broad. You do it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to quote her. I'm going to play some of it.
No, play it. It's just magnificent.
This, and I'm assuming some of you have perhaps seen this, because if anything goes viral, if anything is a American Racism 101 opening lecture, here is why black people are angry, okay? Here is why black people, for all kinds of reasons, live in more poverty, everything. Here is...
Lynn, play the whole thing. You need to give her the time to...
Well, I'm gonna play most of it, but believe me, I'm gonna play most of it. But I'm gonna get. I'm looking for it now, and I want to put it on where. Where she, because it's such a useful metaphor where maybe people can begin to comprehend. Where she teaches by using the game of monopoly as the metaphor for how blacks have been just screwed over and over and over in this country. Here, let me just find it, and I think that I can get to a place where it'll still make sense, and I won't have taken too much from her. Okay, guys, this is going to run a few minutes, and whoa, and I hope you'll stay with me on this. I'm sorry. Damn it. I'm trying to do too many things at once. This is Kimberly Jones. She is an author, and I've got to look at her. Okay, here we're getting to where I think we can pick it up. She's talking to us and trying to make us understand. Okay, here we go.
Where they taught me this, is that we must never forget that economics was the reason that black people were brought to this country. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Do you understand that? That's what we came to do. We came to do the agricultural work in the South and the textile work in the North. Now, if I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money, I didn't allow you to have anything on the board, I didn't allow for you to have anything. And then we played another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything that you gained and you earned while you were playing that round of Monopoly was taken from you. That was Tulsa, that was Rosewood. Those are places where we built black economic wealth, where we were self-sufficient, where we owned our stores, where we owned our property, and they burned them to the ground. So that's 450 years. So for 400 rounds of Monopoly, you don't get to play at all. Not only do you not get to play, you have to play on the behalf of the person that you're playing against. You have to play and make money and earn wealth for them, and then you have to turn it over to them. So then for 50 years, you finally get a little bit and you're allowed to play. And every time that they don't like the way that you're playing, or that you're catching up, or that you're doing something to be self-sufficient, they burn your game. They burn your car. They burn your Monopoly money. And then finally at the release and the onset of that, they allow you to play and they say, okay, now you catch up. Now at this point, the only way you're going to catch up in the game is if the person shares the wealth, correct? But what if every time you share the wealth, then there's psychological warfare against you to say, oh, you're an equal opportunity hire. So as I played 400 rounds of Monopoly with you, and I had to play and give you every dime that I made, and then for 50 years, every time that I played, and you didn't like what I did, you got to burn it like they did in Tulsa and like they did in Rosewood. How can you win? How can you win? You can't win. The game is fixed. So when they say, why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. Trevor Noah said it so beautifully last night. There's a social contract that we all have. That if you steal or if I steal, then the person who is the authority comes in and they fix the situation. But the person who fixes the situation is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, why the fuck do I give a shit about burning the fucking Football Hall of Fame, about burning a fucking Target? You broke the contract when you killed us in the streets and didn't give a fuck. You broke the contract when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own, by our bootstraps in Tulsa, and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood, and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so fuck your Target. Fuck your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Wow.
makes me cry every time I listen to it.
We are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Yeah. We could be Marie Antoinette. It's the way we've been behaving.
She did that off the top of her head on a street corner, which explains some of the noises you were hearing. Kimberly Jones. She's an author and an angry, righteously angry black person in America.
Imagine how disheartening it is to explain to a bunch of, dumb fuck white people why a black person could possibly be angry.
Oh, and yeah.
I mean, just imagine how, as you're doing it, how preposterous the whole thing is, and how you're so angry. Yeah, I get it.
You remember when Obama was president, and one of the things that we learned was that he knew he could never appear to be angry because white folks did not like angry black people and angry black men. And he knew that the minute he projected as an angry black man, he would not be able to do what he wanted to do, which is try to bring the country together. So even as president, Barack Obama was asked to be president with sort of one hand tied behind his back. Our first black president was not able to do what he could have done if he were a white president, because blacks in this country are constantly constricted. We have a call. Caller, go ahead.
Hi, Lynn. Hi, Susan. Good morning.
Hi.
It's David from Hampton. I told you I'd call you back, Lynn, after the elections, and I'm sorry. I just was tied up and couldn't get a call out to you. But is this a good time to call you back and talk to you for a few minutes?
Well, are you on topic?
Oh, yes.
Well, then sure. Go ahead.
There was a gentleman on NPR, I believe that it was yesterday, the day before, who was talking about the same thing happening with these Texas Rangers that were doing horrible things to the Mexican Americans and Mexican people. And they were whitewashed. They were considered to be heroes, but they were terrorizing. They were a vigilante bunch who were, I know there was a show on when I was a kid about Texas Rangers being these wonderful people that helped the needy.
Well, there's tons of shows about cops of all stripes, about them being heroes. I mean, we've always, talk about, as we're a country who raises up treason, the people who made war on our union, and we still, nothing new there. So Texas Rangers are like police departments all over the country.
And a lot of these people came out of the Civil War, and they were horrible. They were their whole design was to terrify anybody that wasn't white. Is what it amounted to.
It's sort of like an offshoot of the KKK. They were there to keep any people who thought that maybe their time had come. That they were there to disabuse them of that notion.
Yeah, the author stated that they were the Western equivalent of the KKK.
KKK, sure.
And that their terroristic tactics were directly related to.
Well, when you think of how many Americans have been schooled in this propaganda forever, generation after generation, to venerate terrorists, to venerate traitors. We got a lot of work to do at re-education.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
I still recall seeing on Sunday morning, on Saturday you'd see the cartoons, on Sunday you'd see the bombs coming out of the airplanes and the paratroopers, and there'd be music in the background that was patriotic, and me as a little boy, I thought, that's what I should be doing when I grow up. I should be killing people. I should be, carrying out war, the war machine. I mean,
I hear you.
You got the propaganda from the beginning. It was inevitable inevitable that we'd all get sucked in.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, David.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
okay. Bye. You too. Yeah, I was thinking, in the day when there was just a few TV stations and they'd sign off like around 11 p.m. and what would come on would be the American flag, and they'd play like the Star Spangled Banner, and then they'd show jets, and military might.
Yeah, the flag waving.
Why is that? Yeah, why is that? It's why I can't understand it, to honor people, the military jet flyovers. How is this militaristic crap supposed to make our hearts swell with pride? I'm sorry. Go. Jesus.
You've taken my breath away, Lynn.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Susan. Go ahead. Get a word in now.
No,
Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm so worried that we're not going to... People are...
Well, I just... There's a group of people that are very clearly showing themselves, who they are, and they're the people that when they hear, when they see a slogan like defund the police, they go, so who are you going to call? I mean, you can't, and I'm going, well, understand that a slogan isn't a policy, and that, perhaps what people are saying is that we want to redirect some of the resources that we have put in police departments. And when you think about, we should talk about this. I mean, we are asking the police to deal with an opioid crisis caused by Big Pharma. Remember, that's got a lot of white folks involved, and there's no place to go for them. There are no beds for them. There are no treatment programs because we have defunded mental health care in this country, correct?
Correct. We've defunded a lot of things and nobody squat.
We've defunded K through 12 education.
Yeah, we sure did that.
Nobody cared about that.
No problem there.
When we say defund the police, what we are actually saying, but it's way too big to put on a slogan, let's reallocate some of those resources to the places where they are better spent, reactivate some of the things that we have been asking the police to do all along that they simply aren't qualified to do, and a lot of the mayhem that occurs at the hands of police happens to people with mental illness.
That's right.
And there are all of these problems across the board, and the police don't react well to any of them, and that creates another thing that we need to talk about, which is how cops must all have post-traumatic stress disorder and how mandated health care isn't required.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, so when you say defund the police, what they're really saying is let's start looking at the base causes. And that's what this woman was saying too.
Right. Exactly. Man.
Ask why, not what happened. Ask why it happened.
Yes, not what.
Why it happened.
Why. And be willing to open your head, your heart, for God's sake.
But if your reaction is to say, well, that's ridiculous, we can't do that, you go, that isn't that silly, and walk away and be satisfied that you know that what they are asking for is really stupid, then we also know who you are.
Yeah.
Because anybody else is saying, please explain.
You know, what is amazing to me is how, well, I don't know. The police brutality that we are now seeing has always happened, has always been happening. I mean, this is how black communities have had to live with a sort of occupying army of racist cops on their streets, and with no recourse. And thank God for these cell phones now that you can't. I don't see how the supporters of, just knee-jerk supporters of cops cannot pause now and say, yike, something ain't right here. I mean,
well, you aren't supporting police officers if you take no notice of what they're being asked to do and lift a finger to help.
Yeah.
That's all of these things. And, then we have to deal with the underlying racism, that the unfortunate effect of all of this is disproportionately heaped on one group of people over others, which is what gets us to this particular moment.
And, we find out now that the state police in Minneapolis were openly slashing tires of the cars of not only protesters but journalists, so that people who were in whatever capacity some of these protests came back to find their cars were just totally, their tires were slashed. And people watched as the cops did this. And listen to what the State Patrol spokesperson said when asked about it. The State Patrol troopers strategically deflated tires in order...
Wouldn't you like to see the guy in city court, who's been caught out vandalizing, saying, "Well, you see, Judge, I was strategically deflating."
Yeah, right. Give me a break. Strategically deflating tires in order to stop behaviors such as vehicles driving,
leaving.
Right. What just unbelievable. And one thing after another, another unarmed black man. I couldn't even bear to look at the story. In a traffic stop, I think this is Massachusetts, was shot dead in the last day, I think. Do we know his name? I don't know. It just...
How can it keep happening
when
now?
they know we're paying attention and they don't stop? Now, a lot of them are getting smarter, and they now, with the protests, have pulled back. They've stopped with these stupid curfews that were just designed to give them an excuse to use tear gas and batons on peaceful protesters. So in a lot of places...
Let me assure you, I have a police officer in my family, and I'll tell you, from his perspective, he's just terrified. He won't wear his... He does not ever leave work in his uniform for fear that someone's just going to shoot him. And
what?
And
I mean, that's now?
That's now.
Well, I don't think he has any reason to be afraid. The only people who have reason to be afraid are black people and protesters.
Well, it's sort of what I have to say. I sort of felt that way. I sort of felt, well, now you know how some people feel all the time.
Hello.
Well,
now you know what it's like to
of being shot
exactly
for being exactly who you are. Well, that's what the protest is about.
Yeah. Why don't you learn from it? and let him know what Kimberly Jones said. See, he's thinking, and this is what they always think. Man, if I were black, in his head, man, if I were black, I'd want to go out and shoot white cops. See, that's what they think. But what she says is you're lucky that what black people are asking for is equality and not revenge. These white people who are so afraid of blacks are afraid of them because they can't imagine why these black people don't want to kill us.
It's fostered in the culture of these police departments, I'm telling you.
Oh, the police department culture is, first of all, it's us against them and us against the world, and that's only doubling down now, I suspect. We have another caller. Caller, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Just listening to what you said, there's the old military-industrial complex, right? Out militarizing the police. But I wanted to ask if you guys saw the Banksy's latest work, the street artist.
Yeah, sure.
And I saw this, and I was mentioning this to people last night, and people sort of get it, but not fully. I have understood this. I'll just read, you should look at it, but it says, it's a picture of a flag with a vigil candle burning underneath it, and he wrote, "At first I thought I should just shut up and listen to black people about the issue. But why would I do that? It's not their problem, it's mine. People of color are being failed by the system, the white system, like a broken pipe flooding the apartment of the people downstairs. The faulty system is making their life a misery, but it's not their job to fix it. They can't. No one will let them in the apartment upstairs. It's a white problem, and if white people don't fix it, someone will have to come upstairs and kick the door in." It is a white problem. Totally ours, and everybody's like, well, not completely, but we must fix the system.
Well, because white people are the system. White people own the system. We built the system. It worked for us, not for them. And you're right, we have to, he's right, we have to, but I keep telling white people to shut up now, just shut up and listen. Like, listen to Kimberly Jones. But what we have to do is talk to other white people who have created this and perpetuate it. Our job is to talk to white people, not black people.
I'll tell you what else our job is. Our job is not to stop. Our job is not to do what we always do in this country, no matter what the protest, no matter what the movement. We throw a crumb, we say they're there, and then we feel much, 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 much better about ourselves, and nothing much changes. We've done it to the African American community forever. We did it to women. We do it to everybody. We throw a crumb, we say be grateful, now go away, and then the system just marches on as it always did. This time maybe we should fix it actually.
That's how I felt when I saw Mitt Romney, marching in a march. You know what? Sorry, Mitt. Little too late, and when the police taking a knee and doing all this kind of stuff, those are crumbs. Those are crumbs. Those are like, all right, calm down. We hear you. We're here.
Pat. Yes.
Pat. Yeah. No, ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work anymore.
Well, let's just hope that young people who are helping start this, and I think that we saw. And maybe the next time we have a mass shooting, too, especially of 6-year-olds in one of our schools, right, that everybody just throws a crumb at. People will get in the streets, and there are certain things that people have just had it. And I'm glad that young white people are out there and just saying enough is enough.
Yeah, I am, too. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your call. Thank you very much. Bye.
And I really like that it's everywhere, that in Green Bay, Wisconsin on Sunday, there were thousands of people on the Walnut Street Bridge.
Good.
And it was really, I mean, if the Green Bay that Lynn and I grew up in was about as undiverse as you could get. We represented the diversity, and a couple of Packers.
No, there were Native Americans and Jews.
Native Americans and Jews, and a couple of black Packers.
Well, they didn't live there.
No, they couldn't.
So, listen, I got to tell you, there is something different here. But Charles Blow pointed out today, this has got to be maintained. I think the powers that be, the old white power structure, is saying, we get this country, let's wait this out, it'll die down. It always does. Just keep quiet, give them a little thing here, give them a little thing there, and we'll be able to... this is what can't happen again. And Charles Blow pointed out that in the Montgomery bus boycott that Rosa Parks started, that went on for almost an entire year or past year. They at great economic cost to them and difficulty, they just kept it going. And that is how you finally make some progress. You have got to keep going, not let down. And God, I hope.
And not be too easily satisfied.
No.
It's...
Well, I can't... Let's hope. I mean, I feel more educated than I was 2 weeks ago. I feel more aware and certain and resolved, and I'm not alone, and I know there are a lot of other people. Let's hope. And thank God we were all sort of in a situation where we could pay attention.
Yeah.
We're not... in our lives have slowed down in many ways because of the virus. And so we had time to think, to pay attention, and to stop the normal sort of running around in circles that constitute our lives and that keep us from being involved. The crazy busy stuff of commercialized capitalism and getting ahead capitalism and all this kind of stuff, it keeps us very, very busy.
Yes, it does.
Very, very busy. And little time to, do something like pay attention to something systemic, something really big, something complicated and important.
Well, And again, that's what that's one of the things that people are saying. Well, what do you expect us to do? Rewrite all the laws? And the answer is, yeah. That's exactly what and just because it's hard and just because it's a lot, we got to go through those law books and we got to figure out which ones, are written with such intrinsic bias in them that they have to be rethought.
There's laws that give cops qualified immunity, which allows them to do anything. But you know what, Susan, before we rewrite the laws, we got to redo the legislatures that make those laws.
Of course we do.
Well, this is the most important part.
Well, that brings up that looming fact that there's an election coming up here.
That's right. You can't do policy changes with legislative bodies composed of people who, are a bunch of racists.
Right.
If you have a Republican-controlled legislature or Congress, I'm sorry, you got a racist-controlled, because the Republican Party is now a racist, neo-fascist, authoritarian party. There's no doubt about that. None. So we got to do two things at once. We got to do the protest part and the education part, and we got to do the policy part, which comes with getting involved in politics at the local levels. At the local level and the state level, don't get so enamored with this national level shit. Just do it where you live. That's what we got to do. Meanwhile, Suze.
Yes.
14 states and Puerto Rico have hit the highest 7-day average of new coronavirus infections in the last 2 weeks. This thing is starting to go where it hadn't been, and it's a little bit scary. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, we can't, we can't forget that there's several things happening at once here, and we have to keep all of these balls in the air and plates on the stick. There's a lot going on.
Plates on the stick.
By the way, do you remember that Ed Sullivan act?
Yeah, I know, but you're showing your age. Do people know what plates on the stick mean? If they're young. Of course, we got an older audience, probably.
Well, anyway.
Oh, that used to just make me so anxious. Ed Sullivan show, that guy who would have plates spinning on these little sticks, and he'd have 10 of them, and one would start wobble, wobble, and he would somehow get back and spin it again, and it was so, I still, my heart starts pounding when I even think about it.
I'm sorry. What was I going to tell you? Did you read the part about not one person in Puerto Rico received a pandemic stimulus check?
Oh,
they left Puerto Rico out
because they don't think they're part of America. They don't think they're Americans. Isn't that something? Big shock. Man, do we have to send these people packing. Man, do we have to send them packing. Father Joseph is wondering something. I mean, he's absolutely right about this. He says, our side isn't very good at expressing ideas in a concise way. You know why that is? Because we understand that things are complex. So we have trouble.
If we had been better at sound bites, we'd be in power. You bet.
Yeah, we don't do bumper stickers well because we are people who understand there's complexity and nuance, and so it's hard for us to find just 3 words that'll do it. On the other hand, the other side loves people to be simpletons, loves bumper sticker arguments. They can be very emotionally powerful. They can, and that, I think more than anything, that's why the Republicans are so good at it, because they think that way. They think in this simple black-white, kind of manner, so that they can
examine might be to find out one is wrong, correct?
Well, I guess so. But it's true, Father Joseph says, we ain't good at slogans. And I think he's thinking that defund police that's not a good one. There's a way to say that, but not, I don't know. He said, it's the economy, stupid. That's a good one. Or yes,
that's a good one.
Or yes, we can. Yes, we can. Don't you think that was a good one?
Maybe we should do okay, let's.
Well, he says, here's the question: what should the slogan be for the Biden campaign? Do they have one? I don't know. And he has 3 offers: better together, an America for all, or making a better America. But see, I think what the other side has going is we're always appealing to people's better angels. And that doesn't have the visceral pow of appealing to people's fear or hate, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, I
mean, I don't know.
I'm sitting here trying to think of slogans, and it's hard.
No, come on, people, think. I'm not good at it. I could never be a headline writer.
No, I went off into a thing. Aren't snowflakes one of the strongest?
Well, it's always the case. It's like pansies are the strongest flowers. Snowflakes are like these incredibly strong structures. And yet, for some reason, they are supposed to typify, embody, personify weakness. Go figure. Hey,
well, as you know, that's why my boxing moniker is Pansy.
Right. Hey, I have a totally, can we do just a little side trip now into something that is not, that's totally different? And
not medication inducing? Sure.
Yeah. Do you recall, I have this vague memory of 10 years ago, this art and antiquities collector in New Mexico, a guy named Forrest Fenn. He announced that he had hidden a 42-pound bronze chest, and it was an antique chest. 42-pound bronze chest filled with jewels worth $2 million, that he had hidden it in the Rocky Mountains. And he said, go look for it. Hunt for it. He wrote a poem that was supposed to give people some clues. And people came and went, the Rocky Mountains.
Well, it's just, there's several mountain ranges. He narrowed it down.
Well, it is estimated that 350,000 people made an effort over the last decade, risked their lives looking for this buried treasure. The chest it was buried in was from the 13th century. And it had, jewels, valuables, artifacts, all this stuff that he said were easily worth $2 million. The chest itself was worth a ton. 5 people died looking for it.
Oh, for heaven's sake, just buy a lottery ticket.
5 people
safer
died. People quit their jobs to dedicate themselves to the mission. The 2 others died searching for a pastor who lived in Colorado, a man who disappeared in Yellowstone Park, a 54-year-old guy from also died, fell off a cliff, who knows what. People were dying. He was asked to call off the hunt. Actually, the New Mexico State Police said, please, stop this. A lot of people said it was all a bunch of bull, that there was no...
Yeah, why would anybody do that in the first place, right?
Yeah. Well, guess what?
Someone found it.
Yep.
Cool.
Someone found it, and this guy, Forrest Fenn, he's 89 years old now, and he wrote on his website, the search is over, the treasure has been found. And the person who found it does not want to be known, wants to remain anonymous, and he says it's over. And the guy who found it sent him proof that he had it. So he said it's done.
Cool.
Isn't that...
Now there's a new mystery. Who has it?
Well, I completely understand that the guy who found it would want to,
Not be anonymous, yes.
Can you imagine finding it?
No. Very cool.
The poem, the poem was called "The Thrill of the Chase." It was a 24-line poem. And he said he thought the purpose of it was to encourage people to immerse themselves in an old-fashioned adventure and to immerse themselves in the wilderness. Well, but mostly what people wanted was the loot. Yeah. So anyway, someone found it. Unbelievable.
Well, thank you for finding these things that you do. I mean, I don't know where I would have been without that little bit of knowledge.
Yeah, seriously. And meanwhile, did anyone come up with any slogans? No, because you know what? We're not good at it. I'm not good at it. I know that. But I just don't know. Listen, slogans ain't going to do it this time, but we have to be careful that we don't, shoot ourselves in the foot as we are, I suspect, want to do. The best thing, I'll repeat this ad nauseum, the best thing the Democrats have going for them is Donald Trump. I mean...
Yeah. No, I mean, I really think the best thing all of this has going for it is Donald Trump, because it's bringing all of these factions together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just incredible.
No, none of this would have been happening if it all weren't happening. And it has me saying what I've been saying a lot lately. The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
Because I think it takes every single bit of this for this movement to happen as it has. The time, the people, the president, the pent-up fury and anger of so many diverse groups, and a really just, unavoidably just cause. Yeah. Let's do it this time. And please, God, don't let us sit down.
I know. That's what we can't do. So, Father Joseph has also sent me this. Norway requires 3 years of training for a person to become a police officer. They have to complete a 3-year bachelor's degree in police studies, and it's administered by a specific police university college. So they have a obviously then, that's the national, the thing is we have all these police departments, and they all are little fiefdoms unto themselves. And there are very few, national rules or even statewide rules about what constitutes a proper education and training to be a police officer. And in order to even get into the training in Norway, you must meet certain requirements, of course. Now, as I said before, one of the things we do is we give veterans a step up. We have like an affirmative action program for police that if you're a veteran, you get a lot of points added on to. And I don't think that's smart, because veterans are people who learned how to be warriors. And that is where we go wrong with police.
Well, not only that, but their veterans also come
with PTSD. Yeah.
Yeah. And a certain view that it's not the citizenry, it's the enemy.
Well, let's remember Father Joseph is a veteran.
Well,
so
that's
it's not
true.
But yeah,
I mean, that takes some real re-education. Although I was listening with interest to a reporter yesterday talking about who covers the armed forces, talking about how discussions about the oath that a soldier takes, and when and that you really have a duty not to follow an illegal order.
That's right.
And these discussions are happening at the very, very lowest levels. Enlisted men are asking. And the discussions are happening all up and down the ranks because of what has happened with our president.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good discussion to have. I mean, in effect, they're asking permission. They're saying, let's review this.
I feel, again, that more hope.
Mm-hmm.
And hope because of some in the military, the generals. The generals who Trump, embraced in his first year in office. Yeah, my generals, he said. Mad Dog Mattis. He just loved them. And now you have Mattis with his, I don't know, have you all read what he wrote? It is strong stuff. Now, he was Trump's first defense secretary.
And then John Kelly said, yep, pretty much right.
Yeah, that's right. So all these generals, and H.R. McMaster has said, yes, right, Petraeus, yes, right. They are saying this guy is not fit.
No, and I mean, among the things that Mattis said is that he had never in all of his life seen a president who was intentionally so divisive, who had no intention of uniting. And I mean, he just called him out on everything, which I think is good.
What's amazing is how well these generals write. Mattis's is very well written. Petraeus is extremely well written. His thing in the Atlantic. Let me just.
Well, why do you think they aren't highly educated human beings?
No, of course they are, but that doesn't mean you're a good writer. Writing is a whole different thing, I think. And anyway, let me just read Mattis's first paragraph. I have watched this week's unfolding events angry and appalled. The words equal justice under law are carved in the pediment of the United States Supreme Court. This is precisely what protesters are rightly demanding. It is a wholesome and unifying demand, one that all of us should be able to get behind. We must not be distracted by a small number of lawbreakers. The protests are defined by tens of thousands of people of conscience who are insisting that we live up to our values as people and our values as a nation. Now, that's strong stuff. And this guy, the fact that he was willing to serve in Donald Trump's cabinet tells you, he's probably not a liberal, right? Right. He's probably not. But he's an honorable man who probably thought, and he's probably pretty conservative politically. But that's when conservative meant something. This Republican Party, these are not conservatives. If you are a conservative, you would want to conserve the values, the supposed values of our country, the ideals that we say, that we purport to stand for. And as I said before, it is not a Republican Party that is recognizable anymore. Anyone who has chosen to stay in that party now is in a party that is an authoritarian, proto-fascist party. I'm not even overstating the case.
Nope. Why not?
Unbelievable. So right now, a clear and present danger to our country is the Republican Party, and is Donald Trump, and is Fox News, and is any of these enablers. We've got to stay in the streets. We've got to keep up and keep on.
Yeah, we really got to get rid of these folks. I mean, we've got to put them, dig the swamp a little deeper and throw them back in.
Well, it's too bad. A good 40% of the country is with them. And then of the other 60%, there's a whole bunch of others who really still need to be re-educated. They're that they're repelled by Donald Trump, but still maybe don't necessarily quite get it. You know what I mean? Anyway, hang on here. TV, Bob and Braddock writes, KDKA TV recently resurrected the tradition of showing a performance of the Star-Spangled Banner with jets, military glamorization, and all as their impromptu intro video before the start of their morning news. You are kidding. Well, I mean, this militarism has infected everything. It has infected even, I've often posed the question, why, when I go to a football game or a baseball game, do we do the Star-Spangled Banner? Do have military jets fly over? That is a militarization of entertainment, sport. It's insane.
Well, it used to, yes, it is, but it used to stand for different things.
It never stood for anything good. I mean, after we saw what our military was asked to do in Vietnam, I mean, when I look at those military jets, yeah, they're thrilling, the power, I mean, they're thrilling in a abstract kind of a way of, wow, look at that. But those are weapons of mass destruction.
Yep. They are a reminder of our awesome power. Yes, it's almost like God.
And I think our awesome power rests in those ideals that we need to live up to.
Yeah.
And they have nothing to do with destruction. All right. Suze.
Yeah, a lot of that came out of the 50s, you know that.
Yeah. Is our brother still there?
He's still here. He's not leaving.
Oh, God.
sort of messing up my once a week grocery store thing.
What, you mean you have to, because he eats so much?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you and Mom.
I am too. And Mom is too. She's good and sick of me.
Okay. Is she swimming?
She's going to swim today. Yes, indeed.
Good.
She's swimming most days because our brother barks her into the pool. If she tries to demur, he says, "You'll feel better. Just get in there." Anyway.
Well, it's true, and she does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. I wish I could be there too, but
we wish you could too.
No, I can't. I'm sorry.
I know.
So this is just the way we gotta be right now. All right, Suze, I love you.
Okay, I love you guys too. Don't sit down.
No.
Metaphorically speaking.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And I do want to tell I forgot to tell everybody that the full Kimberly Jones piece is on our Facebook page, and that should be shared widely. And I want to tell you that after she finishes that impromptu rant, she breaks down. She just runs to a friend and is held. Yeah. Open our heads. Open our eyes. Open our hearts. Stay cool. Talk to you tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.